Hmm. So I want display capture. Okay, let me figure this out. How to do this. How do I make it so you guys can see my chest tempo page? Shit, eh? I don't really know. Let's check. Oh shit. Okay, I think I display not. Okay, good. You guys can see something at least. Now let's try to narrow this down to just the window. Oh, I would have to do window capture. Oops. Okay, let's remove these. Almost there, almost there. I know how to do this. So I add a source, and then I put window capture, I guess. And we'll do chest tempo page. Okay. Yep, and it automatically went for that. Amazing. Fuck yeah. There we go. So now it's streaming just the chest tempo page, and the video should be visible. Should be okay now. No, but it's streaming both the window and the display. So let me shut off the display. There we go. Just the video and the window now. Now let me just check YouTube very quickly to make sure this is streaming right. 1 second, guys. Then I'll get started here. Channel live, and let's see what's showing up here. Yep. Okay. Looks okay, kind of. Let's go with this. And just let's make sure that there's a live chat that I'm seeing. Where's the chat? Should be under view and then no docs chat. There we go. Good. So I can see the chat now. So I can make this narrower. Okay, there we go. Let's get started here. Let's do this. Okay. So here we have a puzzle. Uh, let's get back into this shit. Okay. So I want to train my vision more so than the problem solving itself. So like here, for example, like what is actually going on? Get to the heart of the position. Queen, knight is defending it. One attacker, one defender. Rook behind it is unprotected. The knight can be taken out, attacked, and this is a power bound square on f2. And so let's get started. If I take that there, so then it's simple enough. Like I take the knight, he'll take the queen, and then I'll check here first, intermezzo, then take back the queen. And this check here doesn't really seem to do that much. Let's go for it. Okay, good. Okay, here, I do see some bullshit available on the e8 square. The knight has there's a one-on-one, one attacker, one defender. Queen is defending. Rook, okay. What else? No checks. I could pin the knight, but then he gets out of the check. There's a queen check there. How do I get started with this? One interesting thing is that if I go check here first, the king moves. Then when I take the rook, this rook cannot take because the queen will be pinned to the queen. So king would have to take. Just an interesting thing. Yeah, and then if I take the knight, then the queen takes and I take this rook. So that's interesting. Check first. Seems to make a lot of sense here. And the idea is now, because of this pin that's introduced here, now when I take this rook with check, only the queen can take. And then I get the knight. Here, the king is kind of weak. Like it's a meaning that shit going on there. So this would be a cool check with 20 pawns guarding it. This pawn is close to promoting. Um, so like long term, I would play something like h5, h4, h3, Or it'd be nice to get a rook or something down to b1. Those are ideas. White also has some menacing pawns, but he's tied down at the moment. How do I make use of all this? Okay, so I can go rook here. Because if he takes the pawn, I have rook b1, pinning the queen to the king. And if I get here, that's already like game over. Because, yeah. So I don't even see what you would do in this case. Amazing. Here, this is a power balance square on d5. My bishop is currently under attack. I can take the knight at some point. And the material is equal, pretty much. So the question is, I want to get the knight, but I want to save my bishop as well. So like this is a nice attacking intermezzo. Then he moves the rook, then what? Take the knight. Seems straightforward. Yeah. Here, this is a nice little pin going on here. I want to pile up, but my queen is under attack currently. Ah, and this queen is on the line of my rook. So if I take the knight, check. It's, yeah. Here, this is a focal point for a checkmating attack, but it's a power balance square because of this rook. And I can take out the rook, but then he replaces it with the other rook. But then this is also an X-ray on this rook. Oh, the knight's guarding it, but the knight is unprotected. What else? If this rook is kind of hanging to this rook, if I take here and he, let's say, takes back with the rook, and then at the end of it there's a fork here. That's the answer. But okay, so I get a rook. He comes up, I go here, check, then I take the queen. If he takes back the rook, I get the knight. If he takes the rook with the knight, then I got rook there, I think. Rook for a knight. Here, rook is kind of pinning the bishop to the rook, but the knight is guarding it. But that can be removed potentially with the knight move somewhere. Also interesting is just piling up on the bishop, but it's then let's say rook there. I like knight here because if he takes the bishop, then I take the knight and take the rook after. If he takes the knight, then this rook comes here and this bishop is piled up on like crazy. Here, this could be a weakness. It's a power balance square. This is a power balance square. Knight, if I could remove the knight with a blow. For example, if I take the knight, takes the queen, I come back and take the bishop. It's a back rank checkmate there. Here, this is a nice little fork. Doesn't do that much though. Knight's guarding the bishop. But at the end of it, I have knight check. Okay, so if let's say rook here, uh, he goes queen a6, then rook takes bishop because this bishop is in the line. If queen c7, I take king takes, and then knight check at the end, and I pick up the bishop. Here the knight is unprotected. This king is really close to being checkmated. Like, for example, even something like rook back here, and then here next move would be interesting. But then knight takes here. Although then I could come back with the rook and pin it. The king moves, and I can distract the king with like f5, and that will win the knight. Are there any other ways of getting the king out of that checkmating threat? I don't think so. I don't see it. Come back, and then f5. Here, this is always a cool little motif, like getting the king, drawing the king out, and then, yeah, and then let's say rook after here, and then takes, and the king goes back, I win the queen. It's just a kind of alluring attraction motif. Same thing here, just queen takes knight is the first thing pops into my mind, just to get the king in the same line as a rook, and set up a discovery. Here it doesn't seem that much though. Better to move the knight out with force somewhere. Then, but then there's this too, queen a h1 check. Knight has to block. Yeah, what the fuck. So if I move the knight somewhere, what happens? I'm curious, because then queen h1 is a serious threat. Like let's say here, anywhere really, and then knight takes, then queen h1 is checkmate. Next move. But I want it on a good square. If I just go like, because anywhere like this, then not just knight g1 back. No, there's queen g2 now. That's pretty deadly. I like knight f5 a lot. I don't see defense. Here, queen takes c2 is powerful, very, very powerful. But then, and it from c2, it protects g6. So there's no perpetual check for white. Let's start with this. So here, if I take the knight, then he's going to pile up on it because of the pin. But the cool thing is at the end of it, I always have rook takes h7 with this fork on f6. So you can't really pile up on it. Here, this king is quite trapped, so some stuff should work here. Like, for example, yeah, I see the checkmate already. And here, we could potentially remove some defenders and maybe win one of these pieces, especially with this battery of threats going on here. D5 is also can be taken at some point, but then there's bishop check, and you might win my queen on D5. But let's calculate this shit out. So like, let's say knight takes, knight, and then if bishop takes, I win here. So he has to take on E2 first. Knight takes, and then this bishop will be guarding E5. Okay, I have to deal with this now. So maybe rook C1. Then he'll pile up with rook C. No, there is no rook C8 because the knight. It's because the bishop's guarding that for now. Although it does get sketchy, like let's say rook C1, rook C8. Uh, I'm thinking rook c1, knight takes bishop, queen takes, and then rook c8. Can I deal with that? Yeah, with b4. Okay. Here, if I take the bishop, there should be a, yeah, bishop check here. But then knight takes, and the bishop will be guarding it, though. So I can take that. Here, the king is kind of not so mobile because these pawns. There is a light square check in here, and I can pile up on this pin, except the bishop comes back and guards the rook. The cool thing is, like, I just kill the bishop. Like, let's say I trade rooks by force, bishop ends up there, and then let's say my bishop is here already, and then it comes here to b3, and nothing can really move. Like, bishop has no squares to go to. The king literally has to come all the way to d2 before he can trade off the bishop. Okay, which he can do though. But it's a winning endgame at that point, pretty much, probably. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. Actually, that should be a winning endgame. If I can trade everything off. Are there any other options though? I like it. I like it. No, it's wrong. First. Oh. Distract the rook onto a dark square, then introduce the pin. That is actually a cool cool motif. Good to see this. I will note for the future. Shit. Here we have a pin on the knight. And this is a focal point for mating attack. Kind of a power balance square. Taking here and stuff is also always there's a rook here too. Then that's quite a battery on the b2 square. It's a focal point for a mate checkmating attack. So let's say I took out with rook takes knight, then pawn takes, and then queen is guarding that pawn. It's a power balance square at that point. But then there's always stuff like this, like bishop here with the pin, forcing f4, then I take it, distracting the queen. I'm surprised the puzzle is still going on. No, I think it's solved. Okay. I'm gonna take this till 12:30, and then that's it. Yeah, just trying to force myself to make it till 12:30, even though I don't want to do this anymore. But okay, let's keep going. This check is an interesting one. The king is just really short of squares here. That's the main thing. And then this is a power balance square. If that can be distracted, this is always a thing. Like g3 is actually a checkmate. Just need to get the rook out of there, or the queen, or something. And that's going to be there regardless. So I can use the queen to distract shit around to get g3 in. Like if I can even get a queen trade in, like let's say I go here, and then queen e7, I trade off the queens, then g3 is checkmate at the end. So that's really it. And then f6, you can play f6 though. I can distract it another way with this. Here, like, the king is dangerously close to getting checkmated, really. Like, let's say something like here, king g3. Then you're always looking at stuff like rook check here and here and stuff. The bishop's guarding that square. The knight is currently under attack. White definitely has some pieces. It's kind of equal, to be honest. But what if I do it another way, like check and then king and I sacrifice h4 because it's actually doing a checkmate, but king can take the pawn, and then that allows this rook to come into the game. So I don't even have to calculate. Not even, the vision itself should be sufficient. Like, just know that this is a checkmating attack at this point. There we go. Here the knight checks look attractive because they open up some things, some lines. Black's pieces also can be a little bit trapped, like this kind of stuff. There's various pawn breaks available. This bishop is unprotected and it's the same line as my bishop, so that's also something. That means I can even force this and play an intermezzo at some point. Like let's say it takes bishop, take on d6, and then if king takes, I'm very curious if there's something there. Like then you can even play e5, and then just really luring things out there. Then like knight takes, bishop takes, king is all the way sitting out there. And then even f4 and e5 or something maybe. It just seems legit. It seems right. Just because of the way it lures everything out, it's like, how can this be wrong, you know? I actually just want to keep luring things out. Because rook takes rook does nothing. But this, even if I'm giving up 2 pawns, the king will be sitting out there. And then at the very minimum, there's f4 and e5. And f4, king takes e4. It's like, just kind of just go for it, I think. The real idea is to distract the king from the defense of the rook. It's a power balance square. Shit, okay. That's the real idea. Yeah, 6 more minutes, we got this. Gotta push myself. I'm not used to pushing myself. I haven't done this for a long time here. Okay. These two knights are sitting ducks. You can just go rook c1. And I'm curious what he would do. Like, maybe rook c5 is kind of forced. Rook a5 is forced. And then what do I? And then bishop b5 is very interesting because you disrupt the connection of the rook and knight, and you also hit c6 knight. I think he's just fucked at that point. I'm curious if knight b5 is sufficient because at that point he still has to move knight, and then I take on c6. There's nothing else he can do. Nothing else. Whereas moving the bishop to b5 leaves things a little bit weak. More chance for disruption. Like then let's say I mean they both seem to work, frankly. I'm really curious what the difference is. I don't know what the difference is, but okay. Keep going. Okay. 4 more minutes. We've got a discovered check or attack waiting to happen here. The rook is waiting there to be taken. Have I sacrificed anything? I've sacrificed 2 minor pieces. So this attack better work. Better culminate in something decisive. Which makes me want to go e5 instead. Like 95, king e7, queen f7, king d6, knight c4, king d5. No, that's checkmate. That's a better way to go, actually. There's king f5, actually, I didn't see, but this is checkmate. 3 more minutes. Holy fuck. Okay. There's some power balance squares, like this c7 knight, if I could add an attack, whatever, distract the queen or something, and then, what else is going on here? This pin is also interesting. This bishop is a sitting duck, undefended, and it's on the same line as the queen. So for example, if I even just took on c7, queen takes, and went knight b5 after that, then you'd have to save the queen and the bishop already. So where does he go? Well, I don't think he can't do anything. That's already winning material. So I think I'm just gonna go for that. Let's try it. Already winning material. Here, the king and queen are in the same line, which makes me want to play this, even though it looks stupid. The king is running short of squares, it's almost a mating net. So rook here looks attractive. Uh, like the king and queen will remain in the same line after f4. So let's say rook check, king g5, f4 is a checkmating mating net. He has to take on f5, then rook h5, and I win everything after that. 2 more minutes. Here again, king is really short on squares. Like this should already be a checkmate. Except for the king can go to d3. Then there are other checks available as well. For example, bishop g1 check. Almost sealing the deal right there. But again, king d3. Then it's very interesting though, like bishop e2 check, chasing the king sideways. Then like let's say king c3. Is there a finish there? Yeah, there's like bishop d4 check, and then king b5, and then I have nothing. Or sorry, king b4, and then I don't see anything after that. What if I start with bishop f4 though? The difference is my bishop is on f4 instead of g1, which gives it a bit more scope. Then I can even check on d2 once the king is on b4. Let's try this shit. So king up, bishop f4, king d3, king bishop e2, king c3, bishop d2 is checkmate. Yeah. Okay. Actually, it's 12:30. Our last one, last puzzle. The king and rook are in the same line. Rook is unprotected. Queen is unprotected. There's no checks really yet, so except for rook b1. So I gotta calculate that out. This is also a good check. Maybe, no, but then he has a check, which I cannot deal with actually. That's checkmate. So let's try it. Rook b1, king somewhere. See, the idea is that I can always get my queen in with check, and then I think I don't even have to calculate. I just know it's going to be game. So like, I just have to get the queen into the attack with check. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, it's d1? What's the difference? What is the difference? And after king c2, what am I doing anyways? Okay, so queen d1 allows me to take the rook after, because I stopped white's checkmate attack. Queen here, king c2, then I cannot take the rook. Shit, what a bad way to finish the puzzle solving streak. And I'm going to check, like, if he goes to another square, I was going to throw in the knight check, just to chase it onto a dark square. But this is a bit weird. Yeah, it would have to be this square, not this one, because that way I can take the rook with check after king f2. Hmm. Interesting. We'll do one last one here. End it on a good note. So this rook is, okay, it's only defended by the queen. Queen is a little bit trapped looking here. Yeah, it's quite trapped there. This pawn move can be something. This check can be something. There's a pin here. So let's look at these things here. Check. I like trapping the queen if I can. Like let's say here, but then queen takes 5. But then I want to come back, check, and then pick up the rook. If that's possible. Let's see. Like rook c7, queen takes b5. Now this rook is completely hanging. Then check. Rook has to go back, and then I go queen e4 check. Then he has to go queen d3, which seems to solve everything. This is a tough one. Holy shit. I'm actually thinking of allowing the check. Like, let's say rook e6, queen c8, rook b8. There's no queen a6 at that point. The queen has to go back to d7, which is a shitty square. Then I can introduce the same ideas of like queen check, rook c1, and then queen e4 winning the rook, if not more. Let's try this out. And now we go for this plan. Alright, nicely done. That was a good way to end it. Okay, we'll end it there. I wonder when I started this stream. Where are we at here? How long has it been? Anyways, let's end this now. Thanks, guys, for whoever watched. Yeah, 33-minute stream. Okay, so whatever. About half a minute. So I want to do. I'm going to do problem solving every single day. Fuck it, for like half an hour, maybe like first thing when I wake up. I think it's a good ritual to have. It helps me be proactive with other shit in my life. I guess maybe let's try it out. Let's give it a spin. And yeah, let's train for the Keres Memorial. Let's do.